Okay, Loretta, you're reading recorded. So I just want to welcome everybody here. I see we've got lots of people on there. And anyway, Rebecca Petersen is going to be doing hers today, and it's going to be on creating order. And she did this in our study group the other day, and I was just going bonkers. I'm going, I got to share this with more than just what we have in the room and in our group there. So again, welcome to everybody. I am still looking for somebody for June. I've got a standby on that. If somebody doesn't send me some information and say, hey, I'm willing to do it in June. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Rebecca. Does anybody have anything before she takes over? Okay. The time is yours, Rebecca.
Thank you so much. This is such a great looking group. I'm really excited to be here with you and share some of the thoughts and ideas that I've put together in this PowerPoint. I'm going to invite each of you, for some of you who were here early, I already made this invitation, but if you haven't already, will you get a piece of paper or a notepad or something that you can take notes on, because today there are going to be some things. Look, Carrie's already on it. Way to go, Carrie. There are going to be some ideas that you have that come to you. And as you have those ideas, I want you to write them down and keep track of the thoughts that come to you, because I'm going to share a lot of ideas and not all of them are going to work for you. This isn't a one size fits all kind of thing. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why I chose to do this. I'm a mother of 9 children, and as such, I stay really busy, and housekeeping is not my favorite thing. And so for me, I specifically chose this topic because it's actually one of my weaknesses, and it's something I've had to come back to over and over and over again. So some of the ideas that I found helpful in one situation in my life, like when I was taking care of my mom with dementia. She lived with us for several years. Organizing her things was a very different approach than what I do with my toddlers, and it's different than what I do with my teens. So hopefully in all the ideas that are shared, I hope there's just a few things that you can take away that will be meaningful for you. So hopefully that gave you enough time to go grab your things to write down. And I'm going to start sharing my screen now. And here we go. Did that work for you?
We haven't got it yet.
You haven't got it yet. Let me back up.
I'll let you know when it comes up.
Okay. Let's try that again. Screen share. There we go.
Still don't see you yet. Oh.
Okay, now can you see me?
We can see you, but I can't see not
the presentation yet. Now can you see the presentation?
No.
One moment.
Hey, Scott, this is Tina from Kansas. I'm entered by phone.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to stop sharing. One moment, please. Start sharing again. Share my window. Now do you have it?
Now we got it up.
Okay. Thank you for being patient with me while I pulled that through. So today we're going to talk about what it is to create order in our home. But before we can create order in our home, I have learned we have to have order inside of us. And so today we're going to talk about foundational principles as well as practical steps for creating order both in our heart and our home, which opens the door to a full and meaningful life. By freeing ourselves of clutter, it opens the door for time elsewhere. This is a quick agenda. We'll talk about what a house of order is, and then talk about just a few definitions like a skeleton and a framework for us to talk from and work from. And in this next section, what's the problem? I'm going to ask you to be really honest and invite you to share with each other some of the challenges that you may be facing, and then let's talk about ways that we can change that. I will share before we're done today, we'll go through some very quick approaches. Remember, I said I've tried this for a lot of different ways, and I've tried to take the, did somebody have something they wanted to add? Okay, I'll discuss flying lessons, spark joy, good housekeeping, the happy gal, and a house of order, not in that order. And then at the end, I'm going to ask you to commit to act on one principle from today's meeting. When I was a little girl, I sang a song that said, "A wise man built his house on a rock, and the rains came tumbling down, and the floods came, and the winds blew, but the house stood still. And then there was a foolish man who built his house on the sand." And then we would always do the ripples to show the sand wash the house away. And what's important to remember is that the wind comes and the storm comes to both houses. The creation of a home, or the art of homemaking, brings order and stability to our home and family so that we can be nurtured and progress in every aspect of life, whether the winds are blowing or the rains are falling. We want our house to be able to stand. So from everything I shared today, I hope you'll, I'm getting some feedback from somebody's microphone. Can you each put yourself on mute? Thank you, that's better. So use what's helpful today. And then I've listed at the very bottom of the page down here, I've listed, you'll see on each tab what source the information is coming from. So if there's something that connects with you, please go and find the original source and go in for a deeper dive. Order, can I have somebody volunteer to read this? Carrie, could you read this?
Sounds good.
There. Can you guys hear me?
I can,
Yeah?
yes.
Okay, great. So order. Order is the arrangement or disposition of people or things in relation to each other, according to a particular sequence, pattern, or method. We can bring order to our personal life, our home and family, and into our work and service by following patterns of happiness.
Thank you, Carrie. A steward is somebody who's responsible for the gifts or resources entrusted to him or her. This can include our earth, our time, our talents, our finances. It could even include our family members and people. These people come into our governance by way of leadership roles in our home, our family, our community, workplace, or even our office. A wise steward, and to me this is the important part, a wise steward has a vision for what his stewardship may become. So you have a vision, and you consistently make choices to reach the maximum potential of self and one's stewardship. A true steward will care for the welfare of the people or places or things within their stewardship.
Now let's check out that basement.
I can't tell who that is.
Neither can I. So I'm going to move forward. I like this idea of having a strong backbone. If we've got a strong backbone and a strong skeleton, we're going to have the support we need to be able to go out and do the work we need to do, play the games we want to play, do the sports we need, and to be stable as we go about our daily function. Without that, we have a fall and a broken leg, and that's no fun. So every steward needs a backbone. There are things that we cannot do without, whether we like them or not, and these are essential to the structure of living. So for these type of things, you can think of your exercise, your sleep habits, healthy eating, you know, keeping your taxes for 3 years, making sure you have changes of clothing. There are some essentials that you need. There are also things that we don't need, but stuff we have around the house could increase our productivity, it could increase our comfort or our satisfaction, but they're not essential things. They're just nice. One of the examples that I have of this is I like motivational material and I like to read. So I have really uplifting Magazines come to my home for my kids that help inspire them and teach them and motivate them. Well, what happens when that stuff, those nice things that aren't essential, pile up? It then becomes nonsense. So this is my stuff and nonsense slide, because there are a lot of times we may have a hobby, like we might be sewers, I'm an artist, and I can get too much of one thing. I can get too much fabric or too much of another, too many papers. So too much of a good thing then becomes a bad thing. So that's when our stuff becomes nonsense, and it makes us sick, it's sad, it overwhelms us, or it slows us down and prevents us from freely living and maximizing our potential. So this is out of harmony with a principle of happiness. So what's the real problem? This is where I'd like you, if you can be really honest with yourself for a minute, look inside as we discuss these things. What is the real problem or challenge that stops us from taking care of paper piles, or from taking care of our fabric stash, or things like that? Let's go through number one. Can I have another volunteer? Scott, could you read number one?
Okay, it says, what causes you the most stress in your life? Work, family, other commitments, or home environment?
So for anybody out there, is anyone brave enough to say what causes them the most stress?
Clutter.
Clutter. It's my home environment for me. I worry about some of my older kids. Anyone else?
Family and other commitments.
Yeah. Thank you for being honest and vulnerable. So let me ask you, if think about that other commitment for a second, and for me, I'll think about my piles. Or why did you say yes to this commitment? And does that reason still exist? Does the commitment bring you joy? And you don't have to answer this one out loud, by the way, but I am going to pause just for a minute and let you be quiet and think about that. Does the reason for this commitment still exist, and does it bring you joy? For number three, I'd like to invite you to reassess your priorities and be very rigorous with yourself and put first things first. We'll talk more about that first things first at the very end, which may surprise you, but I want to come back to this. We're going to go full circle today. We're starting here with our deepest problems, and then I want to bring you back to where your deepest solutions are going to be. So let's start making steps that will help you get things back in harmony with this pattern of happiness. So first of all, I'd invite you to stop and slow down enough to see yourself. Notice what your emotions are, your thoughts. Notice if you have deep unmet needs. I think every person I meet has an unmet need somewhere. And so we're not unique in having them, but there are ways that they can be filled in a healthy way. Someone we meet might feel, or we ourselves might feel overwhelmed. We might feel tired, overcommitted, burdened. We might be feeling trapped. We might feel fear. We might feel ashamed or hopeless. I'd like you to change that, recognizing where you are. I'd like to invite you to change and believe that you're meant to be happy. Believe that you can change. Believe that God will help you and give you grace for your needs. Grace is that power to become something more than we would do on our own. And then believe in yourself. Believe that in that power you can do and become these things. And then commit to be kind to yourself and live in a better way. You can commit today to yourself and to your family to care for each other and to care for yourself. You can commit to change through consistent and sustained effort. Does anyone feel or have any thoughts about that they want to share?
Hey, Rebecca, it's Carrie.
Yeah.
I just want to add, like, for me, because I went through your presentation the first time, and it was a life changer for me, I have to say, but more on that later. But when it comes to number 3, this is something that I really, really worked on this month. And that was, showing yourself grace, like being okay with saying, okay, that didn't work, and let's try something else. I had this grand vision and that wasn't what happened today, but that's okay. And just showing yourself grace and being okay with not always getting done what you wanted to get done, but not letting that weigh yourself down. So thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Carrie. That's beautiful. That makes me want to cry personally, because if there's one takeaway from this, it should be that. It should be exactly that there is room enough for us to grow, and perfection is not required. I love that saying from the Fly Lady. We'll cover it later, but she says, imperfect housework or housework done imperfectly still blesses my family. And the reality that we can be imperfect just the way we are, and we can still lift and bless the lives of ourselves and those around us, is very important. And to recognize that it's not going to go exactly the way we plan. But when we have that skeleton, when we have that structure, it's going to support us in, and we're still able to be flexible with our day and be flexible with our stuff and still have strength enough to move forward to that next step, whatever that next step is going to be, that next good thing. So thank you, Carrie. One of the first things that I tried from a professional level is something called Spark Joy. Just by way of background, Marie Kondo, she's down here. If you want to go look this up, it's a book. You can Google her. She's got YouTube things you can go watch. But this is her simple premise. Hold each item, thank it for how it has served you, and if it brings you joy, keep it. If not, let it serve someone else now. And this simple principle was about the only thing that my mom could process with her dementia. As we started to organize and go through her things with her, this is the question we would ask to help her decide what to do with each item. Mom, does this spark joy for you? And then she could tell us what it had done and how it had served her in her life, so that she could share what her memories were of it, or what the importance of that item was for her. And sometimes something that I thought was important meant nothing to her. It just happened to be sitting on the shelf. And so in that case, we let it go. And in other cases, then she'd say, well, this meant this to me, and I had that experience with this child, so give it to that child. And then we could give it to that child. So if there's just one way or just one thing that you take, maybe this is it. You can ask yourself if this sparks joy, and then find a way for that item, whether it's you or someone else, to let it serve someone and bring someone else joy. Another more in-depth approach is to hire help. I'm not a professional at this, so you'll have to do your research, but you might hire help or even just call in a friend. You could hire one person or you can hire a team. For when my mom was done with her big stuff, then we had hired help, and we came in, and within literally just a matter of days, we literally emptied every single room of every single thing. And then we only returned those things that would help my mom function in her best state, and everything else we knew we would need to take care of. We could sort those items. Some of them were donated, some were sold, some were given as gifts to children or grandchildren, to other family members, and some things had lived their full life and they went to the garbage. So those help teams can execute the delivery, they can help finish off the final cleaning. And so in a very short, very compressed amount of time, you can get a lot of work done. So depending on your situation, maybe this would be something that would be helpful for you or for someone that you will be helping, another family or friend member. If you're looking for something for more of a day-to-day approach, the Fly Lady is operated by Marla Siley, and she is fantastic, honestly. FLY stands for Finally Loving Yourself. Has anyone ever heard of her?
Yes.
Okay, have you ever used any of her things?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell me really quick. What did you try that you liked?
It was a long time ago and I really can't remember now, but I think it had to do with paperwork.
Yes, she was expert with the paperwork. So some of the things that I took away from this was the observation and reality that I can't clean clutter. As soon as I read that in her book, I was stunned. I thought, no wonder why I can't clean my house. I actually have to get rid of this stuff. And for a long time, I've had chaos, which is I can't have anyone over syndrome. So for me, this was a very real, very applicable program. And I liked her approach of grace also. Baby step your way to better. You just are making progress. You're not aiming for perfection. And to make those changes, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. So there was so much grace already built into how she approached her organization system that it helped me have confidence to go forward. And I hope it will for you too. We'll talk a little bit and I'll show you in just a minute. I've got some of her plans and habits, the launch pads and the zones printed up in the next couple of pages so you can see them. Her premise is to begin with the kitchen sink. In a kitchen, the kitchen sink being clean and empty will make the kitchen shine. But no matter how much you clean the rest of the kitchen, if the kitchen sink is dirty, the whole kitchen is going to feel dirty. So to her, that is the one thing that just has to stay clean, because so long as that is clean, everything else can be quickly wiped up, mopped up, and it's finished. So clean your kitchen sink and keep it clean. Cleanliness is contagious and you will spread it. It will spread to other rooms and other counters and other floors in your home. It's wonderful. And here's my favorite quote with Carrie. Housework done imperfectly will still bless your family. Some of the things that she also invites us to do in order to get rid of the clutter is she does a 27 boogie fling. So if anyone, just by raise of hand, if you have a favorite song, raise your hand. That would be the song that you would put on. And then while you're listening to your favorite music, you would take a paper sack and put 27 things that you can get rid of in one room, and then go to the next room and put on a new song and get rid of 27 more things. So that's your 27 boogie fling. You're going to fling out 27 things. Hot spots. This is
I know.
huge.
What can I interrupt?
Yes, yes.
The 27 boogie fling. I still do that once a month. I've forgotten about that she did it. But I go through the whole house, and although it sounds like too impossible to do, you will find 27 things that you no longer need. You could probably find more, but I stop at 27.
Oh, that is fantastic. I love to hear that. That gives me some motivation to go through my room again. Oh, that's delightful. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, for anyone else, if you have any questions, please jump in because I've got my screen up. I can't actually see any of you, even if you raised your hand, and I apologize. So just jump in if there's something you need to share. The hotspots.
Rebecca, if they want to just put it in the chat too, I'll forward that to you.
Okay, I can't actually see it because of the screen share.
Right. I can see the chat and I'll just bring it up. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I'll just listen for you, Scott, and they can add anything they need in the chat. So hotspots are easy to identify because that's where we get our piles. My dad used to call it the pile syndrome. You have a pile here and a pile there and a pile there. And it's like this disease. They keep multiplying. So those are like the hot spots. You come in the door and the first place, the nearest counter you can put something down on, that's your hot spot. So give those, be aware that you have them, everyone has them. And then we're going to talk in a little bit about how to make that hot spot work for you, especially when it comes to paper. Boxes. When you go through a room, Marla suggests that you mark 3 boxes. You can reuse them as many times as you want, but one is going to be labeled give, one is labeled to toss or throw away, and the other one is save, but only save those things that you need to save, like your legal documents or things that you're going to be required to utilize later. She has a plan for zone cleaning, and which is a weekly deep clean in one area of the home. And she also is clear and sure to schedule quarterly and annual maintenance. So this helped me schedule out a lot of things for a really busy family. To make a change, you don't have to be perfect, just be consistent. This is what it would look like if we had a 21-day transformation in our home. On day 1, you would shine the sink. On day 2, you would shine the sink and get dressed to your shoes. On day 3, you would shine the sink, get dressed to your shoes, and do the dishes and wipe off the counters. Day 4, you would shine the sink, dress to your shoes, do the dishes and the counters, and make your bed. In a bedroom, your bed is like the shiny sink. It will always look messy if your bed's not made. But as soon as your bed is made, things are going to look different. So make your bed.
The state of your head, the state of your bed is the state of your head.
Oh, I like that. I'd not heard that. That's very nice. I'll remember that one. Whoops, too fast. So you would go through all 21 days, and by the end of the 21 days, you would be down to, you will have gotten through a lot of decluttering. You've done weekly plans, you've made plans, and you're working through meal plans. You're working through a home reset. You're working through paying your bills, self-care, and all the way down to some brain time, reflection, and plan, considering how you yourself are doing and what this experience was like, what was helpful. And like Carrie said, just recognizing what is working, what isn't working, what would you like to try again, what would you do differently. So that reflection time is really important because that's going to give you the feedback you need to make better decisions going forward. So that's the Fly Lady. Here's some morning routines. So this will be all in the, you can come back to this. This will be in the, you can even look this up online if you like. You can Google this and find these morning routines, and then having a daily focus, as well as monthly zones. For me, the zones are huge. If there's daily routines, I think are easy enough to get into, but some of the deeper cleaning, I don't necessarily get to on my own. So for me, having a schedule to make sure that my dining room and front porches are cleaned off, that's important. Making sure I do a deep clean through the kitchen, that always needs it. Every month it needs it. The bathrooms, the bedrooms, the office, the laundry rooms, they always need it. Master bedroom and master bath and closet, living room, these are always going to be ready. And one of the ways that she does this isn't just deep cleaning, but she walks in and she starts scanning the room from one side, say the right-hand side, as soon as she walks in, and she scans for every single thing that would be needing to be updated, changed, repaired, painted, cleaned, or thrown away. And she scans all the way around in an entire circle in that room. So if a light switch is grimy, then she writes that down. This needs to be done. If a blind is broken, she'll write down repair the blind or replace the blinds. And even if it doesn't happen that week, you then have a list for what would need to happen to that room for it in order to be sale ready. And even though she's not selling her home, that's the idea, is that it looks that pretty because that's her place literally of residence. And so she maintains it in good condition. Here's something dealing specifically for paper. Jenny Layton has a Happy Gal. She does podcasts. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I guess I missed it. She does podcasts. She sends out emails. She'll even do one-on-one training and help people put things in order in their lives. And one of the podcasts, I've included the link here for you. So if you want to come back to this one, you can. They're free and they're 15 minutes. The training and different things that she does, you can pay for a service and she'll walk you through with a lot more depth. Here's an example of just notes from a 15-minute podcast. For example, in 1 week, we see as much paper as our parents dealt with in 1 year. And in 1 week, we see as much paper as our grandparents dealt with in an entire lifetime. So if you think about that, that's a lot of paper. And unlike soccer or piano, we are not given lessons growing up on what to do with papers. We're not told what to do with it. Our parents didn't need the skill. They didn't have the skills because their experience with paper was very different than ours. It was much more limited. So be patient with yourself when you're assessing all your paper piles. And there are some principles that she has that she tries to follow whenever you're trying to put anything in order. She said, make it easy for your brain so your brain can stay on board with it. And then work with the habits you already have and fine tune it. So remember when we talked about the hot spot? Let's say you're just coming in from outside and you've got the mail, and where's the first place you're going to want to put it? Naturally, if your kids or someone else are carrying it in, they're going to look for the first place to put it down, and that's your hot spot. So her suggestion is create an inbox and have the family member, every family member, put all of the mail in the same place all the time. If you have a hot spot, see if there's a drawer right underneath it that you can use. Even if it's full of something else right now, you could take all of that out and relocate it and use that hot spot space for that drawer, or you can buy a container or use a container to contain all of it. But no matter what, instead of having papers all over, you're only going to put your current mail in that one spot. Now, this isn't talking about old piles. I'll talk about pre-existing piles in just a minute. We're just going to talk first about current bills and current mail coming in. So first of all, create an inbox, and then second, make a paper appointment. A paper appointment is more than just a routine like brushing our teeth. An appointment is something that you can't skip, you can't delay it, you're not going to put it off. Like going to the doctor's, you're going to show up 15 minutes early to this. So establish that regular time. Is your personal energy rhythm going to give you the brightest mind in the morning? Or do you need it in the evening? Do you need to wait until the kids are asleep? Whatever that time is for you, consider your personal energy rhythm and then the amount of paper that you need to address. Some people do really well if they just sit down and they have the attention span to do it for 5 minutes. So for that person, better do it every day. And then every day you sit down, you deal with whatever came in the mail that day and you're done. Other people just want to do it twice a week, or for me, I actually do mine weekly. She does hers weekly. It's just what works for me. I can sit down, I can plow through it in a couple of hours and be done. So when the bills and papers come and I do finally sit down, I'm going to sort it first before I do anything else. I'm going to sort out all the garbage I can get rid of. Anything I can file, I can file. Any flyer, I assess whether I need it, stick it on the calendar, whatever I need. If it's commitments for the kids or appointments, I put it all down. And then I sit down and do all the bills and go through and make sure that those are all paid. And then I'm back to either being able to shred or file, and I'm done. So then there's nothing left in that inbox. So one of her points for the paper is take care of your current paper first. Don't try to dig into the last month's pile until you've taken care of current things first. A lot of times you'll actually be able to get rid of a lot of that older stuff, so long as you make the promise to yourself that you will keep this appointment and you'll take care of everything current now. The memorabilia, the history, the old papers, Those can be scheduled with another paper appointment, and you can do it the same way on a different time when you have good brain power. Sit down for an hour or two and say, this is my time, and then go through those papers. And you may have some overlap with current things, but chances are you'll be able to discard a lot of that or file it appropriately. So what? Here's a lot of information. What are you going to do about it? So I would invite you to just, if you have paper challenges, which most of us do, I think, take action. Start your inbox, make your paper appointment, and just let people know. You can't go golfing or you can't do these other things until your paper appointment's done. It would be just like a doctor appointment. Good housekeeping, if what we've covered, if Spark Joy or Fly Lady or the Happy Gal don't work for you, I noticed Good Housekeeping has a magazine you can get for $13 over the counter, and it's How to Declutter Your Home. It has a 28-day plan. They have zone worksheets. They have a weekly journal so you can assess what's going well and what you can do better, daily plans, and they even have some organizational tips, some of which I thought were helpful and some not so much. It just depends on what works for you. This last part, this is where we're going to come full circle. This is written, the House of Order is written by Daryl Houle, and she was a very fully committed, community-minded mother. So that might sound like a contradiction, but in order for her to be able to be involved actively in her community and in her faith community, she really had to learn how to build a strong foundation on the rock with herself first and then her family. So we're going to talk about how to build that connection with God, how to nurture ourselves, how to care for our family. And when we do that, it enables us to serve out and work outside the home without becoming overcommitted or burning out. I want you to look on the left-hand side of this screen. Here you'll see cornerstone, foundation. Think about literally building a house. You have a cornerstone and a foundation. You need walls. You need a roof. And then at the very end, you have finishing touches like the welcome wreath or a mat to clean off your shoes as you come in. These are the comfort things. But we have to start with our basics. And the very most basic thing for me that I have found in my life is my connection with God. I can do almost anything in life so long as I feel that connection. And as soon as I don't, I have a lot of anxiety and there's a lot of disruption in my home. So taking care of myself and connecting with God, spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, and socially, this is what I call my foundation. And I try to fit that in at the very beginning of the day. So I wake up early before the family's awake. And I do these things privately so that I'm prepared to do the next part, which is to care and teach for my family. The cornerstone and foundation are things that they are going to need for themselves as well. So I'll teach those. Once I've done it for myself, then I teach it to my children so that they're prepared for their day and they leave grounded, or founded, maybe might be the better word, founded. They're prepared to do their work and take on commitments later on during the day in the home. The roof, this is keeping it safe. It sets bounds and limits, and it gives healthy direction for the family development and growth. And then finally, the welcome wreath is serving and sharing in our community. So put first things first. Put yourself, if you meditate or if you have another way of connecting, do that. Put first things first. God, self, family, then after that, work, school, and community. Care for yourself spiritually, physically, mentally. Make sure that you have a plan in place for your physical health and your mental health, whether that's journaling, whether that's taking time to connect if you have a buddy that you connect with on the phone or a sibling. I know my My bonus mom still calls her sister every day, and they just check in for 5 or 10 minutes and find out what's going on. So make sure that you're connecting socially and mentally as well, because no one else can do this for you. Once your cornerstone,
May I say something?
yes,
On the news this past week, the U.S. Surgeon General has declared that there is an epidemic of loneliness that is affecting people for their mental health. And part of that is that people tend to be disconnected from those around them. So that is a very important point, is make that connection.
I love that. And let me say that differently. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that you shared it. My reality is I just recently moved to a new community just over a year ago. And the reality of loneliness and not feeling support or not having family nearby has been very real as I've moved. I've moved a lot of times in my life. And so for me to be able to have friendships, to have connections, it's vital to my mental health. And so I would encourage anyone, just make yourself an assignment. Maybe if there was just one assignment you made all week, it would be this one. And that would be to just reach out to others and make it, even if you have to use a word like ministering, or if you have to use whatever word you use, friendship or mentoring, if you're looking out for youth in your neighborhood, just say, I see those kids walk past my gate on their way home from school every day. We'll meet them at the gate, and as we reach out to each other and are mindful about purposefully making connections and loving and serving each other that way, I think that will be the greatest change in our lives. That just warms my heart. Just being able to reach out and just love and serve the people around us, that would change our world and not just our homes. So I don't know who just made that comment, but I'm so glad you did.
This is Faye Spencer, Kansas.
Faye, thank you.
In our church during the pandemic, we created a calling tree, and they were the host, and you were given maybe 8 names, and you would check in with these people. They wanted to be called at least once a month to see how people are doing, if there was any needs, or can you go shopping, or just simply talk to them and learn about your fellow church members.
Faye, that's one of the most beautiful things I've heard. Can I ask, once the pandemic restrictions were over, have you had better relationships with those people?
I start to see more people and recognize them at church meetings, but our church has 3 services, so I never know which one people are going to. But joining and working with committees and our women's organization is a chance to meet up with more people.
Wow. I love that. And to be able to now recognize them when you do hit the same meeting, and to know, I know who you are, I know what your needs are, I know how to help you. That's beautiful. How did you feel when someone called you?
I was a hostess, so I usually was the one calling people.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Well, I think I've been both the hostess and I've been the one called on, and it has made a difference in my life when people have come and checked in on me, and I have appreciated that very much. That's a beautiful thing you've done, Faye. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that it doesn't take an assignment. We can all just carefully and prayerfully decide, who's somebody I can call today, who's somebody I can lift today, and then go and do that thing. Which is exactly what this next step is. How beautiful. So once your cornerstone, like with Faye, what she was saying, once your cornerstone and foundation are laid, then she's able to go and build up her family around her, and that's her church family in this example. So invite your family to participate in the process then of lifting others as well. We can take time to connect with our family. We can carefully teach them to care for their own spiritual, physical, and emotional needs. Teach them to lay their own cornerstone of foundation and care for their basic needs like hygiene, meal prep, daily cleaning routines. And if our extended relations, some of the things that I have found helpful is to find ways to encourage others. A lot of my communication nowadays is done through phone calls and texting, but I still like an old-fashioned paper card, and I love a visit. Most of my family are too far away for visits, so I rely a lot on visits from my neighbors and from friends, and I appreciate that very much. When the family are cared for, plan and prepare for the well-being of others in your communities. Oh, I put commitments because of our stewardship, but you could think about that in terms of your work community. If you're in an office, or if you're in a church, it would be your church community or your neighborhoods. Some of the things that help us to be prepared: make sure that dinners are planned, having meal plans in place, preparing a place for homework routines if you have younger kids, chore charts, awards for completion. There are lots of ways to do that. Find something that works for your kids and your family. Plan for the after school commitments. Ask your child to help in the planning by laying out their bedtime books and doing whatever tasks they're age appropriate ready for. Engage the children in their meal prep. Talk with them, clean up with them. I love knowing that the more I cook with my kids, the less likely they are of being involved in risky behaviors. Number one, because they're with me. But number two, it's helping build a relationship that's going to last beyond those years and well into the future. And because I'm a mother, I put a lioness in this sentence. Be wise like a lioness at the gate. Monitor what comes into and out of your home, and don't let violence or immorality in through the screens or the games. As a mother, this is a very real thing for me. I still have children who are in preschool, so I've got college all the way through, and this is an ongoing thing for me. You can be just as vigilant in your connections with other people as well, to just monitor what comes into and out of your home. It has a direct impact on how the children fare. Use a wreath and a welcome mat. Over here to the left, I use this. I volunteer with Just Serve, and it is a fantastic organization that I would recommend if anyone wanted to feel better in life and wanted to spend 1 or 2 hours a week volunteering. Look at justserve.org. Use the remainder of your day serving and sharing with others. The loving spirit of service will permeate your heart and your home. Whatever, the way that Daryl Houle created order in her home was she would serve in the afternoon hours for her community. You can find something on justserve.org. You can make visits to families, friends, or neighbors needing a friendly smile or a call of encouragement. And share your talents. If you're an artist, if you're a baker, if you're a quilter, find those talents or things that you're good at and share it with those around you. Find youth who are unable to pay for those development of their talents, and see if you can invite them to learn with you to develop that. I've had people who are woodworkers who invited my boys to come in and make birdhouses and things with them. That was a wonderful experience for my boys, and we still have the birdhouses up. So those small tasks and talents can be shared and magnified when we share them together. So now this is our finish. We've come full circle. We've talked about foundational principles. We've talked about small steps and how-tos. And I'm going to invite you now to decide to change. Take one small step today to create order and lighten the clutter from your home, or reach out to someone on a consistent basis. I'm just going to jump back one screen really quick. Let me share with you something that I learned from Just Serve. And I shared this in my other presentation that I gave a couple of months ago. So if you want to go listen to the whole thing, you can. But here's an example. They had a group of people with MS, multiple sclerosis. And these people were so debilitated that they were all housebound. But they taught them how to make uplifting, positive phone calls to other members in this MS group. And they were asked to give at least one phone call a month as outreach to these people. And then after several months, they came back and asked the original phone calling tree, asked them how they were doing. And across the board, 100% of them said they were doing better. They were happier, they were healthier, they had less pain, which to me is huge if you've got MS. And as you know, it fluctuates and goes. So for all of them to have had reduced pain was really substantial. And the one thing that really stood out to me is they said, by participating in giving uplifting phone calls to others, they felt like they were given greater skills to manage their own disease. They felt more capable and more confident in managing their disease than they had before they did this extra task. And so I share that with you because if your desire is to help change someone's life, maybe that's what you can do, is you just do an outreach to someone. So whatever your action is going to be, decide to change and then take one step today to do that thing. Number 3 is make the plan and then work the plan. Plan the work and work the plan. So I want to thank you for participating. I know that we can create order in our home. We can have hope and peace of mind. We can create a place of love, joy, health, and safety. And we can consistently nurture ourselves and our family and others through applying wise habits. And I thank you for this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You're
Yay.
welcome.
It was
Thank
lovely.
you. Thank you.
You got any questions or comments?
Well, through the years, I taught beadwork and did campfire and 4-H leader. And I have so many people call me by name. I can't put names or on any of them, but a lot of people know me here in Pineville.
Rebecca,
Yes. I was trying to see.
what are you making? What are you making for dinner?
Spaghetti and meatballs.
My favorite.
And what else?
I have a fruit salad. I have one mango left cut up.
Okay.
We'll turn that into a fruit salad. That's an excellent question, Anne. Thank you.
Bonnie and I'll have to tell you about Anne. She's kind of special in our life.
Oh, it's lovely to have good friends. And I don't know who made the first comment, but as a mother with a lot of boys, thank you for serving in scouting and thank you for serving your community. My children would not be okay in life without all of the extra input from other people in the community who reach out to them and nurture them and love them. It takes a whole village to raise a child. And so thank you for loving the youth. Thank you for watching out for them. Thank you for serving them. They need all the love they can find in this world. And they need the example of how to love, what it looks like to be loved and to show, just how to live a healthy life. there's so much that's not healthy nowadays. And so I appreciate all of your examples.
I was also grateful for all the people that was 4-H leaders and you know, the track coaches and so on and so forth. And my children's lives, it made a lot of difference.
Yeah, it does. Does anyone
I'd just
else
like to
have
say
any-
thank you for your presentation. I got some really good pointers from that. And you're right, helping others is good for your soul. I am involved in several groups, and part of the reason I am is because I like people, and I find that giving attention or an ear to listen to them comes back to me tenfold.
Speaking to this group, I think, like Janet, I think everyone here in this group is probably one who naturally nurtures others, just by nature of the way you reach out and do try to educate those in your community. Thank you, Janet.
Any other comments or questions? Well, Rebecca, I really appreciate you doing this. I think that all of us learn from it. This is my second time around on it, and I still really liked it. And I see Tony over there. She's nodding her head. She saw it too. She saw it in person. So anyway, we just wanted to share what we had there. Again, I'm looking for someone for June. I do have somebody for July, and I can't remember. I got another one out there. I have to look at it. But I've got a standby for June that I can do if I don't get any volunteers. So appreciate it. And remember that it's available. These are recorded and put on the Oregon FCE website. So you can go back and look at them.
So I don't know if Carrie's going to jump in and tell you what she did as a result of your first one, Rebecca, but I think she should.
Well, it lit a fire. And first of all, I appreciate you so much, Rebecca. Like, it was an absolutely fantastic presentation the first time, and now the second time, the fire is even greater now. Like, it's even better. So I spent the time since the first presentation using the tools that you talked about in the presentation. You know, first of all, deciding to make that change, like, what do I want to do to improve my home so that I feel better in my home and my family feels better in my home. And I did. So I don't want to go into it because it probably would take me forever. I was telling my mom and dad the other day about what happened, but I did a lot of 27 boogieing. I have like probably 24 hours worth of music now on Amazon Music that I just detoxed my entire home. And it felt amazing. It felt great to get rid of the hot spots that have been, you know, plugging my life for so long. But just deciding to change and then taking action on that change, and then realizing I think my biggest realization was that it seems like it's so overwhelming, but it actually starts to be contagious. Like, you just start doing it more and more and more, like, ooh, I like this. So I'm sure it has to do with the dopamine release that happens in your brain where you're like, ooh, you know, success, I did that, you know, so you want that more and more and more and more. But so I just wanted to thank you. And I just want to share a little story about what happened when you said, you know, cleanliness is contagious. Now, I have a very clean home. That I do. Cluttered, it was, but it was very clean. Now, when you say, I think decluttering is also contagious. because my husband was gone all week at a conference. You know, and I kind of like told him what had been going on, like, oh, I got, you know, did this, ooh, you took pictures, sent it to him, took care of this pile, that kind of thing. My husband gets home from this conference and he brings home, he's a firefighter, so of course he brought home like 5 more firefighter t-shirts from around the country. And I went out to the garage and we keep kind of like the junk trash can out there, like not the trash can with like food or anything, but like the, you know, stuff that we need to get rid of. And I went out there and the trash can is full of t-shirts from his closet, like shirts that he had decluttered. You know, they had like decided he wasn't going to keep those anymore. So that made me feel good. And then I noticed our teenager was doing some decluttering, and I thought, well, it is contagious, but I don't want to say anything because as soon as you say it, then, you know, they'll stop doing it. So no, I told him thank you. I did. I was like, wow, great job, you know, gave him some praise. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, Rebecca, and tell you how much I appreciate you so much. Like, this is such a powerful presentation. So thank you.
Thank you. It really makes me want to cry. This really has been something that I have struggled with. And so that's why I covered so many different types and varieties and styles and approaches, because I've tried each one of them. And I'm grateful that you have felt that experience and had that experience. And I hope the fire just keeps growing, because it moves beyond your home and it will warm the people around you. It's just a wonderful thing. You're amazing, Carrie, and you've done a great work.
That's my daughter. So I thought about something you said earlier about the sink, the kitchen sink. And I've always kind of felt that way, you know, when the kitchen sink is clean, it's just like a good start there. There's nothing and Bonnie and I are really good about once in a while we'll have a dish or two sitting in there for a little bit, but you know, it doesn't take very long, and we got it put away. You know, the dishwasher is right next to it, so we just wipe it out or scrub it out a little bit, you know, and then put it in the dishwasher and get that sink all clean, and it's just a good start there. So, well, thank you again, Rebecca. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody being here. If there's no other final comments or anything I had, I will let you go. And thank you again.
Actually,
Barbara had a question on the chat.
yes, I was wondering, can we get an email or a copy of the presentation, the charts, so we can use it? You know, because I wrote a lot of stuff down, but it would be nice to have that. Is that possible?
Yeah, I can send the entire PowerPoint to Scott, and it has embedded in it, it's got the links for like the podcast, different things, and you can have all of that. And you can, yeah, there are things that once you have the names and things, you can go Google it. Like the Fly Lady has her own space. And so that was one of the things I was hoping you'd do. If you found something that resonates with you, go do a deep dive. I just did a skim across the top. And then if those things speak or you think it'll fit your family, go dive in. So I'll definitely send that over to Scott.
Okay, so Barbara, go ahead and email. You have my email, don't you?
Yep.
Okay, so just email me and say, hey, Scott, can you send that to me? And as soon as she sends it to me, I'll send it on to you. And that's good for anybody else too.
I'd like to have it.
Okay, and on that,
Loretta, I'd like to have it.
Okay, Loretta, I'll send it to you. I'll convert her PowerPoint to a PDF for you and email it to you, because that way you can open it up. Fine.
Okay.
Okay. And then that way you can actually print it.
Well, I'll have to get OSU to do that.
Correct. Well, somebody can print it for you. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to let everybody go. And Bonnie, are you going to head out as soon as you get out of there and head over to the temple?
Good to see everyone. Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Loretta.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy
Bye, Ann.
cleaning.